Hello, we are live, and we are hosting this on my channel today. Woohoo! What a turn of events.
I know, very unexpected.
Because Grace is getting beaten down by YouTube right now.
Yeah,
so we're hosting it on my channel, and I'm super excited to be hosting my first live show. This is going to be really fun. Grace has all the pointers, though. I'm just going to do the stuff that we normally do. So let's start off with introductions.
I'll go first.
I don't know how to do this.
You got throwing off our order.
I know. All right. Hi, guys. My name is Kathleen. My channel is For the Love of Books, and I finished reading this book earlier this week. I really loved it. I questioned myself when I was reading this book. I was like, why haven't I picked up this book before? And I'm glad that we made this into the July book pick of the month, because the movie obviously is coming out next week on August 3rd, and I'm so excited to watch it. And I also found out that Alexandra Bracken is coming to my city this week, and I'm so excited to meet her, because I read the book. I'm gonna go get it signed. But yeah, I loved the book. I gave it 5 stars. It's a book that reminded me of why I love like dystopian so much. It's like a dystopian with sci-fi elements, but I really it's been a long time since I read a good dystopian, and this book just kind of reminded me, there are some good dystopians out there. But yeah, I gave it 5 stars.
I guess I'll go next. Hi guys, my name is Nina. I'm from the channel Demigods Are Dauntless, and this was my first time reading Darkest Minds. I also really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I was just also really glad that we read this, because I've been meaning to read it for the longest time. So yeah, I loved it, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Hi guys, I'm usually the last to introduce myself, but I will be doing it because this is not on my channel. I'm Grace. I'm from the channel G Swizzle Books, the channel that would usually host this live show. But as some of you guys know already, YouTube hates me at the moment. So I'm so happy that Jules took it upon herself to fix the situation, and we were able to do this live show on time and on the same week as what we promised, which is awesome. This is my baby sister is like really excited in the other room. She's stomping and everything. So I'm sorry if you guys can hear noises. This is the second time I read The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I loved this book originally. The first time I read it was like a few years ago, and I was struggling with Bell's palsy, and so I barely had any outside contact because I didn't want to go outside because of my facial paralysis. So these guys were my friends for a very long time. I know it sounds kind of depressing, but it's true. It was so awesome to revisit this world and get to experience reading it with people that are reading it for the first time. It just felt like I was reading it in a fresh way, if that makes sense. And I'm really excited for the movie. I'm honestly so pumped that this book has been made into a movie, and the more and more that I think about the story now, I feel like it's just so much more relevant than what I felt like it was back in the day. And yeah, I love dystopia. This is a great reminder as to why I love dystopia.
Hi guys, I'm Jules from the channel Jules Reads, the channel which you are currently on. And this was my first time reading this book, and I have to say, I have no idea why I didn't read it sooner. I had heard amazing things about it. It was always on my want to read, to buy list at Barnes & Noble or like Target or something, but I was like, no, there are more important books out there. But I was like, now looking back, I'm like, no, this book was way more important than some of those I bought. But I'm really excited to talk about it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook all today, so I just kind of had a powwow on the road from my state down to Georgia, which is we took about 11-ish hours. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it.
I cannot believe it, but Jules actually finished it just before she went live with us.
Yeah, that was not a fun experience. I'm never doing that again.
You never know what to expect with these books. I should have probably warned you. I feel very bad for not warning you. But yeah, I remember watching like before I even read The Darkest Minds, I remember watching, what's her name again? Christine, Apollo and Bananas books. One of the videos that I constantly watched from her was it was her Cry-worthy books video. I used to, so back in the day, before I used to explore booktubers, I used to always watch Christine at Paul and Bananas books on repeat. I just really loved them. They were really funny. I used to just watch videos on repeat back in the day. Faithy, please don't hit my door. Oh, she's going all Juggernaut right now. Yeah. What was I gonna say again? Yeah, so I used to do that, and I used to always watch this video, and she would always mention, she'd mention that The Darkest Minds was on her list, and I was trying to think to myself, I'm like, okay, you're mentioning, majority of the books you're mentioning are either sad contemporaries or last books in the series that are purposefully sad, but why is the end of the first book in the series so sad?
Now we know.
When I read it, I'm like, oh, that's the reason why it's so sad. It's a complete plot twist that you just do not expect. And you guys experienced it for the first time. How do you guys feel after that? I mean, I've had years to process this, but how do you guys feel after that plot twist?
I died. I was like, I can't deal with this book anymore. Like, I'm glad it happened at the end because I could go, cry myself in a corner. It was like, I understand. I understand why she did it, and honestly, it must have been a really hard decision for her, because she's ultimately sacrificing her own happiness in order to help him. But I was just, I don't know, like how she was able to do it, because the way she grew up, in the camp, and it took her so much to trust him. I mean, she opened up her heart to him, and for her to have to let him go, it must have like broke her, and I don't know how she did it. And I was like, oh, what, like that scene when he just like, that scene where he just stops recognizing her, and he's like, who are you? And then he just like leaves like nonchalant, and I was just like, oh
no.
I was dying. I was like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. That whole ending was just completely heartbreaking. And I also didn't see it coming at all, which I really liked. Like, up until the end, I was like, wait a second. Like, as she was, like, erasing his memories, or, like, right beforehand. And I feel like usually big, like, plot twist ending kind of things like that are pretty predictable, but, like, I just did not see her having it in her to be able to do that. And, like, I was still, like, so distracted by Chubbs being, like, hurt and, like, not knowing if he was going to be okay. Yeah. So I was, like, so worried about that and, like, distracted by that. And it was just very emotional, and I loved it. Like, it was so well done.
It was.
Yeah. So I had finished this book 5 minutes prior to starting the live show, 30 minutes beforehand. So Grace came on, and she saw me crying, and she goes, oh, you just finished, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, I did. So that was probably one of the, I have to say, top 5 worst and making sad endings that I've ever read. Oh my god.
Make a Watch Mojo video about it.
Yeah, we'll make a top 10. But like the thing is that Alexandra Bracken, because I did this all in one day, I have a pretty strong memory of this scene, but there's this scene where they're in the camp and Ruby is approached by Liam, and he's just like, hi, I'm Liam, have I met you before? And she's like, oh no, I didn't. And she goes, you look exactly like my friend Ruby. I haven't seen her in weeks. And she was like, oh. And then she did erase his memories, but it was on purpose. And I was like, that hurts even more than erasing them on accident, erasing them on purpose. And I understand that she wanted him to be happy, but I was like, he could totally do that with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, it would be hard if she did erase them by accident, though. I mean, because at least she had time to mentally prepare to actually erase them on purpose, to actually come to terms with the fact that she had to erase them. But I think, yeah, when I first read that part where he pretended to have had the
I was like about to sob. I was literally setting up my room in here. I was setting up my room and I heard because
having the audacity to do that.
Yeah.
Really got mad at him in that scene.
I was setting up my room as that was playing on my phone, and like then she's reading it in the southern accent as well, because it says he has a southern accent and she has, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I freaked out. But
also, this is a side note. I must say, it was because like I also listened to the audiobook, and like that southern accent.
Yes, that
Liam,
southern accent was
narrator, oh
all of her
God.
accents were perfect. Oh my
I
god.
also listened to the audiobook and I agree. Yeah.
She's great.
Oh.
I listened to the unabridged version. I don't know if that's the one you read, but oh god.
Yeah, I mean, if we read the abridged version, that would be a really short version of.
Yeah.
Unabridged, that's what I meant. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm frazzled.
Yeah.
I spent about 11 hours in a car with my family.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be a little frazzled.
I think that listening to an audiobook is a perfect way to go about it. Yeah,
it is. That's why I've done it.
Book about a road trip, so it's kind of perfect.
No, the thing is, we were passing through Virginia, like as they were mentioning all these places. I'm like, I'm literally in this city right now.
That just makes the experience so awesome.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, oh, I know where that is. Like she was mentioning all this stuff in like Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland. I was like, I know where that is. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for finally having something I can relate to, and not in like California. I have no idea where anything is.
Well, I'm in Australia, so I can barely.
You have no idea where anything is.
And
I'll show you after this.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of my notes, and I'm going to be talking about the expectations we had before going into this book. I'd already read this book, so I would have to really look back at.
Can skip over you if you don't remember.
Yeah, but I really want to ask you guys what your expectations were first before going into this book.
For me, I guess you could say they were pretty high. Just because it's such a popular book here on BookTube. But honestly, even when people used to talk about it, I never really had interest in reading it, and that's probably why I never picked it up before now. But what really got me hyped up for this book was the movie and seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, it looks really, really good. So I guess you could say my expectations were met and more. So, but I don't think they were super, super high to begin with. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I would say my expectations are pretty high going into this, because this is one of those books that like I've been meaning to pick up for like years, and I just never got around to, because whenever it was described to me, it always seemed like something that was like perfect and like right up my alley, but I just like never picked it up.
Something else.
Yeah, it just like the one that got away, I guess, like in my life. So I was just very excited that we decided to read this, and I had pretty high expectations, and I would say that they were all met, because I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, like I had first heard of The Darkest Minds when I was watching Piera Ford. She did the scene, she acted out the scene, like the first scene in the book, kind of, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I've been meaning to pick it up. Yeah, it's like one of her like really older videos, but like I remember when that came out, and I was like, whoa, I really need to pick that up. But then I never did. And I was like, I kept seeing it in the store, and I was like, oh, I should really buy that. But then there was like a hardcover that I always wanted on sale, and I was like, oh, that's more important. So yeah, I'd always get that, and then I finally did it today, and I was like, this is like sounds so perfect. It sounds great. And then the trailer got me really hyped, because I love Amanda Stenberg. I don't know. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I don't know, but I really love her. I think she's great, and I think that her being cast in a lot of movies lately is awesome, especially in The Darkest Minds, where the character in the book is white, but she's a POC in movies. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was imagining her as Ruby the entire time.
Yeah, that's true. So
that's so cool.
That was really cool. But I was just my expectations were met and exceeded, definitely. I had high expectations for this book, and they were blown out of the water.
Yeah. I think that that's really cool. And I personally, like I read this book, I read this book in 2016 before The Darkest Minds was even casted. But for some reason, I just, like, even though I listened to the audiobook, I just always had this gravitation. When it came to Ruby's character, I don't know why. I always thought of her as biracial or some sort of person of color, even though she was described as white. And sometimes my mind goes astray when it comes to casting people in my mind. But a lot of people were mad over Ruby's casting because, you know, she's white in the books, and that's not how they pictured her. But it was a casting decision that I had never agreed with more. And I'm so happy that that was the case. Like, I feel like she was perfectly casted, even though I had read the book a long time ago and somewhat pictured her as white, but then also pictured her as a person of color. Like, it was really difficult for me to distinguish who she was. But as soon as I heard that Amandla was casted for her, I thought it was the perfect casting. I feel like she definitely, like, even though I haven't watched the movie yet, and the movie is not coming out till the 22nd of August in Australia, I know Australians aren't always privileged, but it's what's happening, guys. I'm so sad. Yeah, like, The Hate You Give is coming out in January next year for us.
Oh my gosh, no!
Yeah, that's how
sucks.
bad. I mean, we're privileged when it comes to Marvel movies, but a lot of other movies, like YA adaptations, we're not usually privileged with. But yeah, that's how it is, unfortunately. Anyway, like, yeah, I feel like she was perfectly casted. When it came to my expectations, the first time that I read it, I had read this book series just after Shatter Me, and that was not a good idea, because Shatter Me, as much as it is very different, it does have a similar concept, because it has the pitch of this meets, a dystopian meets X-Men. And yeah, so it has a very similar concept. I preferred Shatter Me when back then, but now that I've reread this, I don't know which one I prefer. But I'm happy that I reread this, and didn't read Shatter Me just before it, because I could really see it as its own individual work. And I really loved it the second time round. Yeah, so I think my expectations were high. I did know that it was pretty similar to Shatter Me, and I did read them back to back. But overall, I'm happy that I didn't this time, because it made the reading experience so much greater. And I love the fact that I also watched the trailer before reading this book, because now I had an even clearer picture of the cast and who was in it. And yeah, I don't know why. I feel like it just made the reading experience so much more fun. And you guys had only you guys had only just read the series. This is leading into my next point. And this is like it's kind of a side note, but I think it's really cool to talk about. You guys had only just read the series. The series came out, I think, I don't know, like, was it 2013, 2014? I don't even remember. But it came out a long time ago. It's a backlist title. And I was wondering if you guys were wanting to share maybe another title that was hyped at one point but got away for you, that you still need to read. I feel like that's a really cool
I need to check my Goodreads. Why would
Yeah, I should have thought about this myself, actually, before asking this.
Like, honestly, like, yeah, for me, like, before this month, it literally would have been Darkest Minds. Like, that would have been the first thing that came to mind if you had asked me that question. But, like, now, probably, like, Shatter Me is up there, like, Raven Boys. I don't know, there's a lot of popular series that I haven't gotten to. So, yeah. I don't know.
The Daughter Smoke and Bone for me. I always keep saying I need to read it and never pick it up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, let me think. I need to
Magic too. That's such a popular book, and I never read it.
Oh, Dark and Shade of Magic? Yeah. I would say probably Bloodlines by Rochelle Mead. I've read Vampire Academy. I liked that. I still haven't read Bloodlines, so that's definitely something. I'm like looking at my bookshelves right now. I can't believe I'm asking this question. I didn't think about the answer for it. Yeah.
There's so many things I haven't read. Like, I still haven't read The Hate You Give, actually.
Yeah. Me too. That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. That's on my list. It's on my list. I haven't read any of the Mortal Instruments series, like, ever.
Oh.
And that's on my list. Monster Calls. I still haven't finished Miss Peregrine's. Or Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I haven't finished a lot of series. Oh my gosh.
There's The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I know Kathleen really likes that one.
Oh, I read that and loved it.
I haven't read that one yet. I think I put it off because everybody keeps on saying that it's mind-blowing and it's full of plot twists, and so that's why every single time I think about it, I'm like, I feel like my mind's not gonna be blown because everybody keeps on saying that. So, but I have it on my shelf, so it's definitely one that
It's good. I wouldn't say it's like, oh my god, mind-blowing, but definitely give it a try.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a try. I have the first book on my shelf, and I bought it for $5, so that's good.
So many things I haven't read. I haven't read The Girl on the Train. I haven't read anything by Rainbow Rowell except for Eleanor and Park.
Ugh.
I haven't read Three Dark Crowns.
Oh, me neither. I haven't read Three Dark Crowns, yeah.
I haven't read, like, the Ruby Red trilogy. You know that?
I don't own that one, but yeah, that is definitely a backlist one that is
There's so many things I haven't read.
I feel like it's very interesting because we, like, these books that we're talking about were so hyped on BookTube back in the day, just like The Darkest Minds. And, like, I just find it fascinating, really, like, how books really do their rounds on BookTube and how we get so interested by them, but then sometimes we just can't keep up with them. And that's why I really also wanted to make sure that people had the chance to read The Darkest Minds before watching the movie as well, because like,
I definitely was gonna read it before I watched the movie anyways. So
yeah, and I'm really happy that you guys have also gotten to it as well, and we're discussing it right now. But yeah, so that was just something that I really wanted to ask, because yeah, I mean, it's rare that we talk about books that came out years ago, but yeah, I feel like this was definitely a good opportunity to. So let's see. So it's been years since the age of dystopia in YA fiction, and also in book to movie adaptations. Yet we are having a dystopian book to movie adaptation come out now. Like, how awesome is that? I just want to talk about this dystopian world and the importance of dystopia for this point. Like, how were you guys able to adapt to this world? Did you find it like it had some cliches? Did you find that it was unique in its own way? And yeah, I feel like that's the question that I want to ask.
I actually really liked this world building. I think because it's so like grounded in our own like current time. Because usually with dystopians, it's like, oh, everything collapsed like at least 50 or 100 or however like generations ago, and you don't really like see how that civilization came to be that way. But with this, it's literally like 5
happening
years
at that
ago
moment.
happened.
Yeah,
and you get like the play-by-play. So that was really interesting because that's something that I think is really rare with dystopian. But also, there were some parts of it that like kind of creeped me out, especially like the whole like thing with it being children and like since it's a certain age range. I remember there were certain parts that like really reminded me of like Handmaid's Tale with like being like a registry with like
birthing, like you can't have any more babies unless you're told to by the government.
Like that.
That's crazy.
Like freaked me out when I made that connection to Handmaid's Tale, because Handmaid's Tale like terrifies me. So I don't know. I just like really love the world building in general.
Yeah. As someone who studied American government recently, I found a lot of the government stuff that was happening really believable, which I also liked, because it was like the President Gray, he ordered his term extension during wartime, and during wartime, no one's allowed to say no to him, basically. So I was like, that's totally something that would happen. Yep. And he's ordering, no births, kids basically being put in concentration camps, but he's like, oh, we cured them, look at us, oh. Kind of thing. And I'm just like, that would totally happen at some point. And like the fact that he used his son as his own gambling, even though he knew it wasn't working, kind of like he was like, oh, my son's totally reformed, but like deep down he knew that it wasn't. So I was like, oh god, this is a little too real right now. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, especially since a lot of it was set near where I live. So I was like, I know where that is. I was like, it's so cool. Like I can connect. Like I know where Winchester is. I know where all this stuff is. Whoa, kind of thing. I never get that where I live. I never get those. Like, oh my gosh, I've been there like a million times, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also really loved that Alexander Bracken wasn't afraid to use real places.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
usually books, whether they be contemporary or dystopian or whatever, they get like really generic. Like they might say what state they're in, but they never say specific towns or anything like that. Because
Yeah, I was like,
like
thank
authors
you.
want to be
Like,
as relatable to like a wider audience as possible. But like I think it was more like fulfilling almost, or just interesting to have like specific towns that she was saying that and referring to.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was partially because I don't know, but like a lot of like dystopian books, like they're like kind of like set in like, you know, like California, like West Coast area, and they mention a lot of towns there, and a lot of people are just like, I have no clue. I have no idea where that, like people mention like a bunch of stuff. Like I just recently read one where it was like Hurricane Utah, and I was like, I didn't even know that was a real place until I actually wound up in Hurricane Utah. While I was reading that book. That was an interesting. I was like, "Whoa, wait, I'm in the town."
Well, wait,
But
there's a national called
no, it was a Five Nights at Freddy's book. It's not important. It wasn't important. It was just in my audiobooks list, and I was like listening to it, and they mentioned hurricane, and I saw Hurricane Utah coming up, and we stopped at a Walmart there. I was like, "Wait a sec."
Why would anyone call their city Hurricane?
I don't know. Utahns.
There.
It's Utah people. I don't know.
Maybe back in the day it was affected by a hurricane.
No, Utah's completely landlocked.
Yeah, you can't.
There's no way it could have been affected by a hurricane. So like here's California, then Nevada, then Arizona, New Mexico, and then Utah's like right on top of Nevada. So I'm like, there's no way it could have gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's,
I think it's just a cool name, just like, whoa, I wound up in Hurricane Utah kind of thing.
Hurricane
Utah. Yeah, it's just like finally
at the bottom of the world.
Yeah, but like I was like, finally I have something to relate to. Like, especially where I live, there's like there's rarely anything set remotely near me. I think the book that was set to me closest, like before I read this, was set in like Massachusetts. And I was like, I still don't know where any of that is, but like now, like they're mentioning West Virginia, Maryland. I was like, oh, that's my tri-state area. I know what to do. I know where they are, what direction they're going, how far they are from this one place. I thought it was like something a little bit to connect to. You know? So I'm really thankful that I had that experience. That was a really fun.
That's really cool. That's an awesome experience to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get those experiences when I read an Australian
Aussie books.
Yeah. Like every once in a while. I still haven't read Looking for Alibrandi, which is like a very popular one that takes place in Sydney, Australia. But other than that, Sydney, Australia is usually mentioned in books because like Sydney is a very popular place.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very popular city in Australia because we have the Harbour Bridge, we have the Opera House and stuff. Like that's what people see like as Australia, even though Sydney, like, or New South Wales is not the capital state. It's still
that's the most known
to other people. And I literally live like a 25-minute train ride to that area. I'm pretty privileged where I live. But yeah, so what was I gonna say again? Yeah, so Sydney, Australia, like if there is like a dystopian or something like that, and they're trying to mention locations in other places, they'll often mention like, you know, like
Sydney, Australia.
They're like Beijing or like
London, and then Sydney.
Blah 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 blah, and then they'll mention Sydney, and then I'm just
You're
like,
that's the closest I'll get.
That's pretty much all I usually get from like popular.
Hey, they never even mentioned my state.
Yeah.
No one likes New Jersey, so.
No one likes us Marylanders.
Isn't that where like Bel Air is though?
What? Bel Air? Like not the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, no.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, no. I wish with all my heart. Once I heard there was a town called Bel Air in Maryland, I immediately looked up. I was like, was the Fresh Prince of Bel Air filmed in Maryland? And they're like, nope. was like, was it set in Maryland? Nope, Bel Air, California.
What? Oh my
There's
goodness.
also
So
a Pasadena, Maryland, and a Pasadena, California. So basically, we just have a lot of the California names, and I'm like, wait a second. And then young, like 9-year-old me was like, whoa, this was filmed in Maryland? Nope.
So for the longest time, I never told people this, but on my Facebook profile, I put because I wanted to be like as ghetto as I possibly could. I put my setting, my like where I live as Bel Air, Maryland.
No.
For the longest time, and it only changed. I only changed
at all. I go there all the time.
Know,
oh my gosh, it's like some of the most bougie.
I only just found out. I've been shamed.
It's so bougie. You don't even know. Maryland's pretty bougie, except for Baltimore and like Elk Ridge. And
I can't believe it. I only just found out. I've been living a lie this whole time. But I changed it at the beginning of this year because I think there was a group that I was a part of, and then somebody messaged me. The moderator of the group was just like, "Hey, you can't join this group because you're from the United States." I'm like, "No, I'm actually Australian." I just put that, like, and I had to explain it. I'm like, I just wanted to be gangster at one point in my life, and I felt so embarrassed. But they're like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, I know. I understand what you mean.
But yeah, so that happened. That was embarrassing. But yeah. Anyway, back to this dystopian world. Okay. I think that it was very unique. Because when I read it, Trump wasn't president. So it was back when I read it, America, like, or like, just the world didn't seem to be as it didn't seem to be as realistic as it has been.
As it is now.
Because when I read it, Obama was still president, so it's like it didn't seem as. But now it I can definitely see the parallels. What it has, how it relates to today's society and today's government. So I don't know. I feel like that's a big reason why I'm really happy that this book movie adaptation is happening now. As much as I'm really mad that like they waited for such a long time, I'm happy that it's happening now. Even though it's not in the age of dystopia, when people were trying to find the next Hunger Games, I'm happy that this, I'm really happy that this is coming out, because like if the Maze Runner was to come out and if that was written by somebody like an abuser, the fact that it is written by a female author, and it's directed by a female director, and it's starring a POC main protagonist, I definitely think that this was definitely meant to be given a chance. And everything about this project is important. Everything about this book is important. And I love how this book is now getting the spotlight because of those aspects and even more, and how it definitely relates to today's society. So even though I'm pretty upset that they took a long time, I think that it was definitely a very important, eye-opening read, and I definitely did need to reread this book, and I'm happy that this everything is happening right now so that I could reread this book and see it from a new light, and that's definitely the importance of dystopia. That's a big reason why I personally love dystopia, and dystopia is one of my favorite genres, because you never want to get to that point. You have to be reminded as to why you don't and how you can make a difference, how you can make the change. That's personally a big reason why I love 1984, and it's so sad that 1984 seems so much more realistic than it did back in the day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Also, the cool thing about this book is that it wasn't just a dystopian. I was even before we had this discussion about calling it a dystopian over, I wasn't even sure what category to put it in, because it's also kind of has fantasy elements, because it's kids with powers and
sci-fi and stuff.
I don't know,
sci-fi-ish. I was like,
yeah.
And I was
so I
it's
like that it didn't stick to just one typical genre, and I think that's also why it was so like why I liked it so much, because it kind of picked and choose what it wanted and didn't just follow the typical path that any other genre would constrain it to.
Yeah. What I also liked is that it didn't like say like a specific time that it was set in, because I was like, oh, you know, like I was reading it, I was like, whoa, like this technology, you know, like it could totally, they're talking about like cell phones and you know, like laptops, and I was like, dang, this could be set like now.
Yeah,
so that's what I also liked as well. I was like, whoa, this could be like set in like 2018 for all we know.
Yeah.
And like
kind of
it's
thing.
like general enough, because I know a lot of like authors also kind of stray away from technology because they don't want to make their books like irrelevant in a few years, but like they use technologies without saying like, oh, I have an iPhone 7 or I have this
like she just says
model.
cell phones and laptops. She never said, you know, like what brand it was, what version it was, which I really liked, because I was like, you know, like that could be like the MacBook Air, or it could also be, you know, like one of those like crappy PCs that you had in like the 2000s, you know, like in the early 2000s. So you never know.
Like it makes it generic enough, but you can still use the technology and like make it a modern story, which I really liked.
Yeah. And I think that's a big reason why some classics today are very popular. Like I recently, this year, I read Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And I liked that book. A lot of people, like, they have mixed opinions about the book. I personally liked it. And a big, I think I've watched one of your videos about how
I haven't read it. I'm planning on reading it though.
I think so. They mentioned like screens, like I think they mentioned like TV screens and reality TV shows, and I started to think to myself, back in the day when he wrote this book, none of this would have existed. This book is literally prophetic. It's just really funny how he wrote that, and now
it's like The Simpsons.
How it's so real now. It's like it literally prophesied as what was going to happen. Like when it came to technology, whereas this one is definitely a very more broad scope. This book wasn't really necessarily written to be a classic, but it's definitely relatable in all aspects. Like it could happen anytime, and I think that's a reason why some classic dystopians are classics, because they stand the test of time. Again, like 1984, there are TV screens, and I don't know if that was like if those were a thing back in the day when George Orwell wrote it.
He wrote it in like the 1800s, I think. So I'm pretty sure. Wait, I'm gonna look it up.
No, Ray Bradbury, I think he wrote Fahrenheit 451. I think more in the
1984 was written in the
1944 was 1984.
No, 1949 or 1948.
It said 40. Google said 44. Whatever. 40 era.
49. What is this?
Oh, okay. Well, we know it's in the 40s for sure.
Yeah, so it was in the 40s. He wrote it, I think, the year before he died. I think so. But yeah, like I like how that stood the test of time. But what Alexandra Bracken did can also stand the test of time. Even though we're still living in a digital age, we will continually advance in technology.
Yeah.
I like how you know, like it's so broad that it could happen at any time. So that was definitely very well written.
Okay, we should probably move on to another point, because I think we've gotten like 3 points down and we're more than halfway through.
Yeah, we can talk about the characters.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so what were your favorite characters? Who stood out to you? ETC?
All of them stood out in like their own way, you know? Like sometimes in books like this, you know, like side characters normally like shrink into the background, but like all like the side characters that weren't Ruby like really actually stood out a little bit more than Ruby. You know, like I really liked Liam. I liked everyone in the van for their own certain ways. And you know, because like all of them were different, but they were still like, you know, like BFFs sticking through. And I hated Clancy. Well, no, first I was like, you're a little suspicious. And then I hated him. I was like, I can deal with you. You're kind of freaking me out that you know everything about Ruby. And yeah. And then he started being really creepy. And, you know, then that scene happened. I was like, oh, yeah.
I only just realized that there was a conversation happening in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the fuck is
Oh, I
happening.
wonder what's happening to Martin right now. You know, I think she made these characters really memorable, even though they had about, you know, like maybe 5 pages of page time at the most. It was like really, it's like, whoa, like, you know, like Martin tied in at the end. Like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
Yeah.
I think I got frustrated with Chubbs when I first read the book.
Yeah.
I imagined him as white only because my uncle, well, no, my uncle's not white. What am I saying? He's Lebanese. But it's funny because like I imagined him looking like a younger version of my uncle because my uncle, he goes by the nickname of Chubb. His name is Charles. And so I back in the day, I just imagined him as like a younger and more annoying version of my uncle. And now knowing that he's
now that he's black, I was like, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
And like it mentioned that like 3/4 of the way through the book, and I was like, that would have been a nice detail to throw in at the beginning. I had no idea. I was imagining him white the whole time.
Yeah, I just imagined him as a younger version of my uncle because my uncle goes by Chubb. Back in the day it was Chubby, but yeah, it was really funny though.
Chubbs.
Like, but yeah, I used to find Chubbs so annoying, but then I think as I continued on with the series, I liked him more as a character. But yeah, now knowing what happens in the series and reading this book, I just like Chubbs. I think that he's really cool. I like Zoo more than I did back in the day. Like, but
I love Zoo.
When I read the book, I was just like, okay, Zoo is here. Yeah, the Zoo is okay. But
she's
I
adorable.
Think
she's like
now reading this book, I'm just
the light of the world. She's the light of my life. I love her.
Needs to be protected at all times. I love her. I adore her. But yeah, I don't know why. I just wasn't connected with her the first time I read this book, but I like her now. Like, I like her a lot now.
Yeah. I was watching the trailer. Apparently she doesn't have the shaved head in the movie like she does in the book.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of upset about that. I was like, no, you could have had such a good opportunity to have a girl with a shaved head, you know, like other than 11, to have, you know, like those girls feel less self-conscious about themselves. I mean, you know, it's not like, oh my gosh, you know, like make a bunch of media posts about that, but I was like, it would have been a nice detail just to throw in. It's a bald cap. It's not, oh my gosh, so terrifying, you know?
Yeah, I think it would, I don't know if it would be terrifying for her as a young actress.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to shave your head like that, of course.
I mean, I was just going to say she could have just used a bald cap because that's what some actors did instead of shaving their head.
Especially because her
hair, a bald cap.
Yeah, her hair isn't that long, so it won't stick out too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess they kept the hair.
I mean, yeah, like, again, it's not like a huge, oh my god, you know, like make a million news posts about it, but like, would have been, bald caps are what, $20 at most? I don't think they're too expensive for a movie with that budget. But yeah, I really enjoyed Zoo, and I like her relationship with everyone. I thought she was really cute. I thought she was like the sassiest character, even like one of the sassiest characters, even though she like had like no words.
Yeah, definitely.
It was just like, she was really fun, and I also liked her cousin. Her cousin was really fun too.
Yeah, and she's so cute. Like
she is adorable.
She's
especially in the Walmart scene. I was like about to tear up when she like found the dress and she was like trying it on. She was, ooh. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
You deserve it. And then she found, and then, you know, like Ruby found her like those pink gloves instead of the yellow gloves to go with her outfit. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's so cute.
Zoo's finally living out her dream.
Yeah, it was so sad that she had to leave though. I mean, she left.
Yeah, I hope, don't spoil anything, but I really hope they find her.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Because like that was the second saddest scene in the whole book when she left.
Leaving. Oh my gosh, I was about to cry in the car. I almost cried so many times in the car, but I was like, nope, not going to. My parents are gonna be like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
They don't believe me when I say I cry at books, but not at movies. So.
Oh yeah. I understand. I mean, yesterday I was crying. I was crying at a TV show yesterday. So, like, I sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm not a softie, and then I cry. I'm like, I'm a softie. I'm watching Agents.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sobbing so much, but yeah, that's what happens when you're really attached to characters. You cry even though, like,
yeah, I know.
Even though they're not like dying or anything like that, you still feel for them. You still empathize with them, and I personally think that that's a great. I feel, how do I say it? That's great writing, because when the author is able to articulate the characters' feelings and then you start to feel for them, I personally think that that's amazing writing. Let's see. I guess, are you guys done talking about the characters?
I'd like to talk about the Clancy plot twist. I saw it coming, though. I saw coming that, like, the slip guy was Clancy, because they mentioned Clancy so many times. I was like, no, he's got to be Clancy. It's got to be Clancy. Why else would they include the pictures of him, all, like, the details? I was like, oh, that's totally.
I personally didn't see it coming.
You didn't see it
no. I mean, again, I powwow read it, so I was like, why are they including... You like when you powwow read something, you're like, wow, this is repeated a lot. So,
I thought he would be like at the camp, but I didn't think he would actually be the leader, like the actual Slipkin guy.
Yeah.
I was expecting it because I was like, they wouldn't include so many like details about his picture and his life and all that stuff. He wasn't the slip guy. So
yeah, that's actually kind of interesting because like I saw it coming, but because of the opposite thing, like approach from you, Jules, because like. When they were talking about the slip kid, I'm like, oh, he has to be a character that we already like sort of know but don't know.
Yeah.
And like
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, oh, he's got to be like someone who's been at least mentioned. It's not going to be like some random.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the kid, I think whatever kid was like kind of capturing them or kind of showing them to the place, he's like, oh yeah, no, none of the like skip tracers bother us because we have friends in high places. I was like, oh yeah. It's definitely that kid.
Like, well, that basically confirmed what I was thinking. I was like, all along, I was like, oh, the skip kid's totally Clancy. And then they were just like, the skip kid has friends in high places. Like, knew it. It was totally Clancy.
But then when it came to the other plot twist with Clancy, like, I definitely didn't trust him. And like,
oh, no, I never trusted that guy, especially when he just, like, straight out went to Ruby, like, reciting her name and her life story. I was like, that's creepy. I would have gone, like, nope. You know?
He is a villain of nightmares. Like, that.
He is. Oh, my gosh. And the fact that he, like, held her against her will and kissed her and stuff, I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. I'm terrified, but I'm excited to see how that goes down in the movie because
I know.
Yeah, that might.
That all depends on really good acting, and I'm hoping that it's acted out very well.
Me too.
The person
I'm really
who's playing Clancy, I'm just hoping that they play Clancy in a very menacing way. But then again, it's definitely something that is disturbing. So.
Also, with like, and I was like really scared. I was like, oh, Liam's totally gonna find out about that, and he's gonna get the wrong idea and yell at Ruby. But like the first thing he did when he found out, he goes, "I felt your terror. What did you do?" And I was like, bless your heart, Liam. You're such a sweetie pie.
Yeah. Oh.
He was so sweet about it. He was just like, what did he do? I'm going to go punch him. And she's like, no. And he goes, oh, yeah. I'm going to punch him.
He handled it very well.
Mom-boyfriend mode activated. He's totally a mom friend. He is totally a mom friend.
He's a mom friend, for sure.
Oh, my gosh. Such a mom friend. Like, I was reading this, and I was like, I relate to Liam so much because a lot of my friends come at me with this stuff. Like, they're just like, yeah, like, you know, like, in class, they're just like, yeah, this guy groped me. I'm like, do you want to point him out? I will punch him. I would never do that to someone else. But, like, you know, like, when it's, like, friends, you're just like, oh, no. So, I really related to Liam with that. He was like, must protect friends over myself kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Very adorable.
I appreciated that about his character so
much.
Yeah, and I can definitely see why people say that Liam is like boyfriend material because
he is.
Because there are so many brooding love interests. I mean, there's a Twitter account about it. My goodness, of like those dark, angsty boys that you know. Like they're misunderstood and
they don't care about anyone except for their love interest.
Yeah,
And I was
except for
like,
them, they're very dominating. But
but
he,
this guy, he was just like, I will give you, like, I'll give you space, but I'm not leaving I'm not leaving you alone.
yeah,
You can
definitely.
talk to Chubbs if you don't want to talk to me, but I'm not leaving you alone here. I was like, that is the most perfect response you could have ever given.
Yeah,
to
that is
someone.
definitely what you should look forward to in a love interest.
Well,
Mhm.
Ruby did the same thing for him, because remember, I think it was him and Chubbs that got in a fight, and he went off, and she like sat by the tree trunk, whatever.
Yes. Like she gave him space too.
Yeah.
Like the mutual understanding of like just like their spatial awareness. I was like, that is like, without even have to say anything. He's just like, yeah. Like she's like, no, I need to be alone. I need space, and he's like, got it, understood. And I was like, thank you. Finally, someone who's respectful. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hold every guy I meet to the standard of Liam at this point.
Yes.
I don't think I'm ever going to Liam.
That's
Unfortunately.
definitely do that.
All right.
Yeah. It was yeah. That whole like the whole ending, the whole I would say third act, whatever they call it.
Third act.
That was definitely very, very stressful. I mean, yeah. Everything about it was very stressful.
It was.
Yeah. Especially because Liam is so perfect. Clancy is not so perfect.
Yeah,
just everything to do with them in the third act, just it was a lot of stress.
My only hope is the movie Liam lives up to to
he doesn't have a southern accent, which is already disappointing. I'm like, no, he has to have the accent. I was so upset about that. I was like, because I had like a snack break in the car, and I was like, oh, let's watch a YouTube video, and then like Darkest Minds ad pops up, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna watch it again because I haven't seen the trailer in a little while, and I was listening to Liam speak, and I was like, wait, where's my southern boy?
Southern boy.
Where is he? And then like I was like, oh. I mean, like, it's fine if he doesn't have a southern accent, but I was like, that's what made him so cute. He just kept calling everyone darling. I was like, oh. But yeah, that made me sad, but I'm like, that's something I can live with.
I'm really hoping that the movie captures the heart of the book, though.
Yeah, I really do.
Because I'm really hoping it does. Because I'm actually really encouraging people to go see it.
Yeah, I saw on your Twitter.
I want YA adaptations to have a chance in the future. Because they haven't been doing so well. Also, female directors. I want female directors to do well. I want people of color to do well.
Yeah.
I want female authors to have these deals. Like, there's so much good about The Darkest Minds becoming a movie, but I really hope that it doesn't disappoint. By me saying that, I mean, I hope that it still captures the heart of the book. It doesn't need to be fully accurate. I understand that, but it needs to capture the heart of the book. So that's why I agree. That's definitely a point that I needed to bring out. Like, what do you guys want from the movie? That's a point that I had in my notes.
Yeah. I definitely just want... Oh, you can go. I've been talking a lot. You can go.
I was gonna say, pretty much like the same as Grace. Like, when it comes to adaptations in general, I want it to capture the heart, and I think sometimes people can be really nitpicky with book to movie adaptations, especially if the books are like really close to their hearts. But I think I've seen so many adaptations that, like, as long as it's decently close and like captures the spirit of it, like, I'll be happy with it, and I am looking forward to seeing it. So.
Yeah, as long as it keeps like the same like wholesome friendship like thing with like, like dealing with your past and not burying it, like learning to accept it and stuff, like I think that's really important. I think that message definitely needs to be like, shown. So I just really hope at least that portion is in, because like I definitely want it to like have like some of the elements, but like just if it doesn't have like any elements of the book except for the characters, the general plot line, and like like the whole point of facing your fears, learning to accept your past and make it a part of you, not trying to erase it, I think that should definitely being there because, you know, like that is a subject that people have, you know, difficulty understanding about themselves. It's kind of hard to accept your past sometimes, but it's always going to be a part of you whether you like it or not. And you just got to kind of learn to accept it whether you hate it or not. And I think that's definitely important.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Well, if nobody else has anything to say about that, I guess I will say the last point before we conclude our predictions for the sequels, considering you guys haven't read them yet.
Yeah.
I want to hear
Everyone
you guys.
except Grace. Everyone except Grace can contribute to this one. But I don't know. Is it weird that like I'm okay with Liam's memories being erased because they get to like have their cute like courtship all over again, and like I'm excited for that. But I don't know. That's my only prediction. Is like I really want that to happen and just be cute.
The one thing I do want, like, yeah, I agree. Like the whole maybe falling in love with her all over again, that would be sweet. But I do hope that he gets his memory back.
Yeah.
And I do hope that it happens in the next book, not necessarily in the third book, because that would just suck.
Yeah, that would hurt my soul. Yeah, I really hope just. Oh, no, you can go.
Sorry, no, that just reminded me, because also if she does get that ability to like bring his memories back, then that is like a new part of her powers that she can like use, and maybe like
she can restore her parents.
Or just like, yeah,
Sam,
that would be a really cool.
Sam again.
Yeah, like that would be a really cool path to go down, and I would be very happy if that happened. I don't know if that's like wishful thinking, but
I'm really just hoping this all turns out great in the end. I think the falling in love with her all over again would be so cute, but then again, I'm just like, you already had the cute stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, just get it over with. That'd probably be me. I really hope it happens in the next book, and I hope they reunite the gang. I hope that happens, and I hope Ruby is able to escape the children's gang. I don't remember what the name is.
That was my frustration with The Incredibles 2. Tony Redinger.
No.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, that's what I hope would happen. I hope she is able to restore memories because that'd be fun. She'd finally like learn to accept that what she did, she can reverse, and that if anything goes haywire, she's able to just go like, oh, here you go. So she's not afraid of touching anyone anymore or losing control. Because I think my theory is that part of her fear of erasing everyone's memories now that she knows she can do it is like driving it to happen again. Kind of like she's like, you know, like her fear of her own powers is driving it to become more and more hungry because she never uses it. So I think I hope she learns to like legitimately control it and learn to accept everything.
Yeah. So you guys done with the predictions?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't have many like concrete predictions.
Yeah. It's definitely a really open-ended book.
It's definitely open-ended, yeah.
That's what I like about it. I think like even if it was a standalone, I would have been really, like angry, like, why did she leave off there? But it's like it's perfect just to end kind of the way it is. So like there's really like you're just like I don't. Yeah. There's nothing. There's not a lot of substance at the end, so you can just like tie together a bunch of like little things that happened. Like in a bunch of other books, you're just like, oh, this happened like one time back in like the first book, so you can make the predictions or something. But like now, it's just like you're just like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and you guys are definitely very privileged because the rest of the series is out. So
yeah, we don't have to wait. We could just buy it and read it all at once.
Yeah.
And I might do that. I hope there's a bookstore in Tybee Beach. I need to find one. I can. Yeah,
my question
but I already brought all my books. That's not a good idea. I don't need any more books. Yeah.
Yeah. My question for you guys originally was going to be like, will you continue on with the series? But it sounds like you are all going to continue on. I am so happy that you guys loved the series. You guys have no idea. Because, like, It would be really funny if if one of you guys was just like, no, I hated this series and I gave it 5 stars, because
that would have sucked. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that would have been like our ACAFest live show where I was the only one that really enjoyed it.
Wait, which one?
ACAFest. I was the only one that super enjoyed that.
So I'm happy that you guys.
Yeah, I'm happy too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I guess.
Wait.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk about Lady Jane. I really liked her. I feel like she should have been used way more. I was like, she could have just been like so cool. And then she was taken down by Ruby like the second time they met. I was like, no, I wanted more of her. But I imagined her as Haley Atwell. I have no idea why.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I imagined Haley Atwell as Lady Jane. I was like, oh, that would have been so cool. And it's probably not. But I was like, a girl can dream.
Yeah.
I imagine some, like, it would have been so funny if it was, like, Dame Judi Dench or, like, you know, like, so, like one of the, or, like, Betty White or something as Lady Jane. That would have been so funny.
But Judi Dench is just, like...
Judi Dench. Oh, my gosh. I would have loved to have Judi Dench as Lady Jane. That would have been so funny.
He is
gosh. Now I'm gonna do fan casting.
Yeah, fan casting.
If I ever become famous, that's gonna be my first thing. I'm just gonna make a Lady Jane movie with Judi Dench. Or like Helen Mirren or something. I'd totally do that.
Yes.
I imagine her as like this old British lady, even though they said she was young. I was like, oh no. Old British lady all the way. That would have been funny.
Yeah. So, I guess that concludes our live show for The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you also for bearing with the fact that we had to switch channels. Yeah, thoughts and prayers would be appreciated, because
subscribe down below, guys.
I do not want to subscribe.
If you're not already. Hit the bell button, too, because I never post.
What?
Hit the bell button, so when I finally post something, you'll know about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Hit the bell icon for Jules. So our next Biblio Squad book pick of the month will be Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. I'm currently holding an ARC. This book does not release until
Tuesday.
3 days time. 2 or 3 days time. 3 days time probably for the US, 2 days time here in Australia. So if you guys aren't planning on pre-ordering this book or like getting it, I suggest you do so you guys can join our discussion. It's going to be a great time. I promise you that. And we don't know which channel it's going to be on.
We'll figure it out.
If the strike gets removed, it will be on my channel. If the strike doesn't get removed, it's whichever one of these amazing ladies, whichever, like, it's up to them whether they want to do it or not. And that possibly means that our Ant-Man and the Wasp live show is also in slight jeopardy as well, so we'll need to discuss
that could be on my channel too. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, we need to actually talk about marketing that first of all.
Oh yeah, that might be important.
We'll definitely discuss that as well. But we love you guys. Thank you guys for bearing with us. We honestly appreciate that, and we will see you guys. Oh yeah, the dates. When are the dates for the next live show?
October 24th / 25th. So it's 25th for you, 24th for us.
Okay, yeah. So
August 25, 26.
It's the opposite. It's 25 for us, 26 for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I lied.
I've seen the future. You guys are in the past.
Okay.
Predictions. Okay. So yeah, join us same time on August 25th and 26th in your time zones, locations, and yeah, we'll have a great time, great discussion. We love you guys. We'll see you next time. And Jules is gonna have to hit the button now.
Yes, I am. All right. So bye, guys.
Bye.